This is Count Midnight. We're at Freaktoberfest 2 at Cigars and Stripes in Berwyn, Illinois on Ogden Avenue with Jermey Cowan. How you doing today, Jeremy?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy Freaktoberfest.
Happy Freaktoberfest it is, yes. And I'll tell you that Freaktoberfest Beers of You has definitely made us very happy today.
Good. That's what we're aiming for. We're trying to make really spectacular beer and have an absolute blast along the way. This is what it's been all about at Cigars and Stripes. I mean, it's incredible. He's got an unbelievable beer selection tonight of some of the best beers from around the country in a neighborhood that otherwise wouldn't expect to have such spectacular beers. And it's been so much fun. And the freak show, the bands, the great beers, there's nothing to not be happy about.
And you're totally enjoying this, right? I mean, I know this is your company, your job, but you're really having a good time, aren't you?
Yeah, well, the point is to make really special beer that has a specific personality. I mean, we've got the Coney Island beers, all the craft lagers that we've made, making some of what I think are some of the best craft beers in the country, but at the same time with a sensibility and a sense of humor and a sense of style and artistry that should be really fun and absolutely delicious. And that's the whole point of Freaktoberfest, is to make something that's very special, but yet accessible and not pretentious and absolutely delicious. And that's the whole point of having this party tonight.
And how many of these parties do you have every year?
Well, we have our big Freaktoberfest is in Brooklyn in New York every year. We had one in Oakland the other night in Northern California. And we've got a couple down in the South. And so we do it depending on who we hook up with during the year. We get to feature some of the best beers from our friends from around the country. The other best thing is that we get to have very special beers from other breweries. Like tonight we had Great Lakes Brewing Company and Nosferatu, which is their barley wine. And that is really something that we try to support, is small breweries from around the country making really special ingredients, using incredible brewing process to kind of feature these really incredible beers that people don't usually have access to, especially in an environment like this where we're used to dealing with the Coney Island Circus Sideshow. It's called a freak show for a reason, but when it comes to craft beer, we're trying to bring people to have fun. Remember that drinking beer is supposed to be outrageous and interesting, mixed with some kind of entertainment, some bands, and performers that are doing something really unique and utterly enjoyable.
Well, I know from your website that lady that swallows that big, huge sword is pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. You have her phone number?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely there not. Is. You can go see her on MySpace and Facebook and on the internet. Yeah. And Heather Holliday as the sword swallower. The best thing for us, the Coney Island beers are a co-business project. It's a licensing project for the Coney Island Circus Sideshow, Coney Island, USA. And they approached us and said, would you be interested in doing kind of a tribute beer series to us? And we donate a portion of the proceeds to them. And the performers that are featured on the labels are actual real people, and their talents and their skills and their uniqueness are, I think, brought to life through some of the labels. And we've been working with a tattoo artist who's in Brooklyn, New York, in Williamsburg, Dave Wallen, and my art director, Matt Polachek, who I've been working with for, 7 years now. Does all the graphic design, and we're trying to bring kind of everything together: artistry, uniqueness, imagery, raging, party fun with absolutely fantastic craft beer. And I think that's what Cigars and Stripes has done really well tonight, is to bring something unique and interesting to a place that otherwise wouldn't have expected this even just a couple years ago. And that's incredible. It's super exciting.
Well, now, mentioning craft beers, can you define for us what a craft beer is and what a consumer should look for in a craft beer?
Yeah, that's a fun debate. I mean, the bottom line is everything from Sam Adams, Sierra Nevada, and Anchor Steam down in terms of size is craft beer. People that are taking the artistry, the differentiation between beers and styles, taking that seriously. And that's what craft beer is all about. It's basically the difference between going to the grocery store and buying a loaf of Wonder Bread, which, you know what? I eat Wonder Bread. I go to Taco Bell. I go to Burger King. But when I want something different and special, and when I want something that's made with quality ingredients that might be unique, that might have a sense of artistry, a sense of uniqueness, a sense of personality and character, I'll go somewhere that's neighborhood, that's local. They're using high-end ingredients, and that's what craft beer is all about, is it's making something that, yes, it's beer. We all love beer. We all love to rage. We all love to party. That's what Freaktoberfest is about. But it's bringing something a little bit different, a little bit more quality, a little bit more sense of artistry and style. And it's not just marketing. It's really, this is real. This is real small businesses that are taking their creativity, their imagination, and their craftsmanship and bringing you something that is special and different. And it's not even that much more expensive. I mean, when you buy a Porsche, you're paying a lot more money for something that's handmade. When you're buying craft beer, it's really not that much more. And when you're buying craft beer compared to high-end wine or spirits, it's negligible. So that's the exciting part for us.
Say of craft beer versus like even say Budweiser.
Oh gosh, last year the biggest beer companies in this country were down 5 million barrels. A barrel of beer is essentially 2 kegs, like you would have at a keg party. 2 kegs, 10 million kegs. The entire craft beer, everything, even including Sam Adams, Sierra Nevada, New Belgium, Great Lakes, Goose Island, all of them, we all add up to about 3.5 million barrels. So we're talking about an industry that is truly artisanal, that's truly special, that's truly local, that's truly struggling to make something that's different, unique, and delicious, and authentic. And that's what people need to support.
So when you go to Taco Bell or Burger King, which beer do you drink before or after?
Yeah, for me right now, the Coney Island beers we're featuring tonight at Freaktoberfest, this is Mermaid Pilsner. This is our rye-based, dry-hopped Pilsner that's only in America. This beer would only exist here. It's generally draft only, although we feature this in a variety pack that we're making right now. We have a beer called Sword Swallower that's an IPA. But brewed with a lager yeast. We have a beer called Albino Python that's a white lager. It's the only white lager we know of in the world. I absolutely adore that beer.
What do you mean by a white lager?
Well, so it's a wheat beer, a white beer, wheat beer. It's brewed with about 40% wheat malt, and it's kind of a bastardized version of a Belgian wit and a German Hefeweizen, but with a real American craft ale sensibility. And that beer I absolutely love. It's great with food, and it's great to just drink a beer and enjoy it too.
Okay, so now you're talking beer for beer heads, beer geeks. Yes. Geeks. And if people want to know more about beer geek stuff, I understand you've now written a book about craft beer. So let's ask you about your book.
Yeah.
So first off, what's the title of your book?
Well, this year I wrote a book. It's about the history of Schmaltz Brewing Company. I've been in business for 13 years. So in perfect Schmaltz Brewing Company fashion, it's called Beer Bar Mitzvah.
Now, wait a minute. Last year, you said you were in business for 13 years. So haven't you been now in business for 14 years?
Yes. Actually, today, as of today, we have been in business for 14 years, and so last year I finished up our 13th anniversary, and we're putting out a book. It's kind of a small business memoir, and it's been really fun. It was by far the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life, and it was writing about what I feel really passionate about, and it's my real life, and I think it's also a lot of fun. It's about the beer business, it's about Jewish mysticism, it's about freak shows, and it's about trying to make a living in this world and figure out what the hell we're doing with ourselves.
So how did you become so passionate about beer?
It evolved. It definitely evolved. I mean, I wanted to make something that I thought was really interesting, unique, and innovative. And over the years, I've had a chance to be able to make really delicious beers, work with incredible brewers, work with wonderful distributors like Glenn's Brewing Company, or Glenn's Distributing Company, who sponsored our event this evening. And just have a chance to make something that I'm really proud of and that I hope that our customers really enjoy and keep coming back for more.
Now, you mentioned Jewish mysticism. Are you into Kabbalah?
There's a couple of sections in the book that talk about a time that I spent in Sfat, which is a town in central northern Israel, and had a chance to kind of learn a little bit more about Jewish mysticism and actually visit a mikveh, which is a ritual bath. And that bath was visited by the highest kind of writers and thinkers about Jewish mysticism in the 13, 14, and 1500s. And so I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means, but I've had a chance to kind of dip my toes in the mikvah that's in northern Jerusalem, in northern Israel.
Now, is that an accepted part of the Jewish religion, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jewish mysticism and sense of numerology. This year's our 14th anniversary, and on our beer called Jubilation 14, I go delve into a lot of pop culture and Jewish text, and I'm trying to kind of make things that resonate with my real life and hopefully resonate with people who are drinking our beers and what they're thinking about, what they're reading, what they're exploring in terms of beer, in terms of culture. It's one of the most fun parts about my job.
Now, what is your real life versus what you're doing now?
Well, tonight this is my real life, this is it. Yeah, Freaktoberfest, talking to you right now. This is my real life. And that's one of the bizarre things about my job, is that we come up with making really exceptional craft beers, travel around the country and try to sell it every day at places, whether it's Whole Foods or Binny's or a little corner grocery store or a really amazing high-end beer bar here in town or around the country. But also get a chance to talk about it with people that are interesting and unique and absolutely appreciate what we're up to. And then
you definitely have a freak, Freaktoberfest and the Coney Island.
Yeah, the Coney Island beers have been really special for us because I started the company with Hebrew, and it's all kosher certified and making beers that I'm very serious about, and they're very sincere to my sense of myself. But the Coney Island beers are really about raging, having an incredible party, and bringing that sensibility to high-end craft beer.
When you started your Hebrew brewing company, did you go to your rabbi and say, "Rabbi, I'm starting this beer company"?
I did, in fact, go to several rabbis, and they were very supportive, continue to be incredibly supportive. And when I started the Coney Island brands, we were approached by the last remaining circus sideshow in the country in a fixed location, which was traditionally known as the Freak Show. And so they have a sword swallower, they have a python dancer, they have a gentleman who's the MC that I absolutely adore, who does an act called the Human Blockhead. And we really wanted to bring kind of the spirit of Coney Island into craft beer. And so we took the idea of lagers, which are kind of this traditionally much more approachable, most of the big beers in this country are lagers, but we wanted to make something special and different and unique, and use interesting ingredients, brewing process, and make something that would be a little bit offbeat and different. And so I think we've really accomplished that with the Coney Island beers.
Now, what is the alcohol content of your beers? And I'm asking that because I've had a couple samples here, and I'm really feeling pretty buzzed, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, it depends on which beer we have. Tonight we have Freaktoberfest, which is brewed with 6 different malt varieties, 6 hops, and it's 6.66% alcohol. It's brewed with the blood of hundreds of free-range organic zombies. It's blood red. And we have a beer called the Human Blockhead, which is an ode to Donnie Vomit, the MC of the Coney Island Circus Sideshow. And that's 10% alcohol. And we have beers that are very high in alcohol. We have beers like Mermaid Pilsner. It's about 5.5% alcohol. That's really good, right? I mean, come on, seriously. It's delicious, yeah.
Now, if one is in... If one is in New York, can we actually go see this freak show?
Yes, absolutely. Come out to Coney Island. Next summer, we have actually in the last year opened the world's smallest brewery. It's in the past, the world's smallest brewery was about 9 gallons. We were like, no. We want big time world's smallest brewery, 1 gallon at a time. And so we brewed last year about 20 batches. The first day out, we had a friend of ours who's a performer at the Coney Island Circus Sideshow. His name is Nick Sin, 3 foot, 6.666 inches tall, and he is a midget, which he calls himself, and he came out and brewed our first batches, and we've had a blast this year. Next year, we're going to be selling the beer, and we're going to be featuring, everything from our funnel cake beer to candied apple lager, to corn dog beer, and it's a lot of fun, delicious ingredients, interesting, unique flavors, and a total blast. And
can you comment on what is, I just read recently in the newspaper something called a session beer, and I'm thinking that might have a little bit less alcohol than what you're talking, what you've brewed up here tonight, and do you plan on having a session beer? And can you comment a little bit on what a session beer is?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, because right now there's this idea about extreme beers, which we make a lot of. We make, under the Hebrew brand, a number of high alcohol, very flavorful, like really unique stuff that's on the cusp of wine, liquor. And there's this idea of session beers, which traditionally have been essentially beers that are lower in alcohol. The problem has been session beers traditionally are honestly just boring. Mass marketed, not very flavorful, made with not very high quality ingredients. What's happening right now is session beer. It's 5.5%. Mermaid Pilsner, Coney Island Lager. Although there are a lot of beers in the craft beer movement right now that are 5 to 6%, but interesting ingredients, unique flavors, unbelievable, great brewing process, and making something that people would really differentiate, so that it's not just BS marketing. It's actually different. It's actually different breweries that have a personality and a style and a sense of, a sense of flavor and a sense of uniqueness.
So would you characterize any of your beers as a session beer?
Absolutely, yeah. We have several. Coney Island Lager, which is our 5.5% amber lager. Mermaid Pilsner's 5.3% alcohol. Albino Python is one of my favorites. It's a wheat beer brewed with ginger, sweet orange peel, and crushed fennel seed. And that's maybe 6% alcohol. So these are not 10, 12, 15% beers, which we do make, but these are beers that you can hang out, sit with your friends, and drink something special, unique, delicious, and drink several of them.
When you come up with the recipe for a beer, how do you decide what the alcohol content is going to be?
Yeah, that's interesting. I work with my brewer, Paul Mackerlane, in Saratoga, and we just taste a bunch of beers that we like, and I just come up with what I think would be fun and interesting. We have a beer called Sword Swallower that I felt like we wanted to make an IPA-style beer, but brewed with a lager yeast, so maybe be kind of 6-7%. It's about 7.2. And a little bit just depends on the ingredients that we use and the style that we want to create. And that's the beauty of craft beer, is it's about artistry. It's not about marketing. It's not about billboards. It's not about market research. It's not about fitting into some category. It's about what we wake up in the morning and want to drink and want to make for our friends.
Great. And if somebody wants to find out, for instance, somebody wants to buy your beer, do you have
Absolutely. Website. Hit our website, schmaltzbrewing.com. You can Google Hebrew beer. You can Google Coney Island Lager. And we would absolutely love it if everybody came out and checked out our beers. We're here in town at a lot of great accounts. And we'd love to have you and come join the party.
And what's the title of your book, and where can people find your book as well?
Craft Beer Bar Mitzvah. And it's at craftbeerbarmitzvah.com.
Okay, great. Jeremy, anything else you'd like to say on camera tonight?
No, this has been great. Thanks so much for having me. Okay. I really appreciate it.
Sure, do appreciate
Happy
it.
Freaktoberfest number 2. Looking forward to number 3.
All right. You can come out on a Saturday sometime.
That sounds great. I know. I'm working on it. So this has been an absolute blast. Come out to Cigars and Stripes. Keep drinking our beers.
Right. Keep Ronnie in business here in Berwyn. Yeah. That's right.